once again. I am I'm your host, Doc Rutton, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back with me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-hosts on the net. Starting off with lead news writer, Gruesome Magazine, Dave Dreher. Dave, how you doing, sir?
John, we've got news, lots of news.
Yep. We are doing a news episode. Yay!
News!
And also joining us this week is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
But-a-doom. I'm doing good.
All right. Well, this is our horror news of the week. All the news that leads up to Monday, October 18th of 2021, or at least the ones that we've picked out. We have a couple casting announcements. We got a couple of potential new films coming out. And we have a couple trailers to talk about. We're going to try to rifle through these pretty quickly, give our thoughts about what this news has to offer. Up first, I was going to say ladies and gentlemen, but it's just gentlemen, is Mike Flanagan, as you know, has directed quite a number of house horror TV shows on Netflix, and the third one, which we didn't really think was actually coming because he's kind of, if I'm not mistaken, he said in the past he wasn't going to do it, but they announced it, and it's going to be based on, and I don't know why I didn't see this coming, but it's going to be based on the House of Usher. Makes perfect sense, right? What other house thing would you pick but the House of Usher?
Full House?
No, stop. No.
Come on.
TV show House?
So,
you know you'd like it.
Yeah, so you got the Haunting of Hill House, the Haunting of Bly Manor. I wonder if they'll call it the Haunting of the House of Usher. I
think aren't they going with the Fall of the House of Usher?
Are they?
It's not the official Haunting of series. It's just stuff that's based on Edgar Allan Poe stuff. I mean, the Fall of House of Usher is one story, but the cool thing is they can tell different stories of Edgar Poe stuff. And I think my favorite part is, and I've heard some conversations about it because he was even talking about it on the Boot Crew, is like, he says this is going to be fun. It's going to be ultra bloody. So this is going to be the full-on horror stuff we want to see, Mike Flanagan do. So, it's not going to have, I'm sure it'll still have some kind of emotional underpinning, hopefully with less long monologues. But, but yeah, I think I'm interested in seeing that, because, and as a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe, there's a lot of great stories he could put his little horror spin on. So
yeah, definitely, you weave them all in. But who's going to play Roderick Usher? Vincent Price, of course. I think defined that role in the House of Usher in 1960. Roger Corman, right, Dave?
Classic, yeah.
But who
classic stuff. I don't know who they'll get this time. And like Christopher was saying, I don't think this is going to be strictly a retelling of the Fall of the House of Usher. They're something I read somewhere said they were going to mix in a lot of Poe's stories. So it's 8 episodes. So I don't know if we're going to get 8 standalone episodes or if they'll just, weave Poe's tales into the storyline that's going on in Usher. I don't know. House of Usher. It'll be interesting to see. If anyone can pull it off, it's going to be Flanagan now.
Yes, definitely. I'm already looking forward to it just on the whole concept alone. It's got me excited. Just, Mike Flanagan meets Edgar Allan Poe. Sign me up.
Plus, a lot of his regulars are going to be part of it as well.
Yes.
A lot of his actors, including his wife and other people. So it'll be interesting to see them do different roles like we've seen in his other projects, like the House projects and Midnight Mass.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our second bit of news. M. Night Shyamalan has been in a resurgence as of late with his recent films that he started making, and his latest has been revealed. It is called Knock at the Cabin, and it's dated for February 3rd, 2023. Of course, we know very little about it. But what do we think of the title alone? I guess really what we know is that he calls it a super tight third draft script under 100 pages, which is
like gives away so much information.
M. Night in my book is kind of heading back into who gives a shit category.
Oh yeah.
Old did nothing for me. Nothing. I don't know. I'm finding it hard to care about this one, but we'll see.
Well, M. Night is a high concept person. He comes up with these really interesting ideas, and sometimes he doesn't deliver the greatest product, but it has interesting parts of it, and he's always got to have sometimes a little twist in. So I don't know. I mean, right now we don't really know what it's about, although it almost feels like he's doing his sort of cabin in the woods type movie. So is it going to be his version of Evil Dead where like you find out at the end that the Evil Dead are Quakers, or I don't know what will happen with it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm intrigued by it. I'm always intrigued by stuff, even if I like it or I don't like it. I think at least he gets me interested as to like this really interesting concept and how he's going to tell that story. But yeah, I mean, I think he's found his sort of place of making these sort of smaller indie films to where it doesn't necessarily have to make a buttload of money for him to keep making more.
Yeah, I mean, basically all we know is a title. Much like what's the I'm not even going to go there. Let's just move on. All right. As Halloween Kills is slaying the box office, 50 million plus this past weekend, a great debut for an R-rated horror film, especially during the pandemic here that we have. And David Gordon Green and Jason Blum, of course, are out there on the circuit promoting the film. Dave, did you interview one or both of them?
It was a round table. They were both there. But
nice.
Talked about them.
So look for that over at Grissom Magazine. However, in other interviews across the internet, not ours, unfortunately, David Gordon Green, of course, revealed that he will be co-writing and directing The Exorcist for Blumhouse. And we knew The Exorcist was on the docket for Blumhouse, but we learned that it's also going to be a trilogy. So there's a lot to digest here. One, they're remaking The Exorcist. Two, now it's a trilogy. And three, David Gordon Green is directing. I will admit, I was much more excited about this before I saw Halloween Kills. Now that I have seen Halloween Kills, I'm a little worried. I have faith that there's something to be said in this storyline, because I was a fan of the TV show, which expanded on the storyline. Although that wasn't, so spoilers for it, that wasn't revealed until midway through the season. But it actually added quite the interesting kind of aspect to that show, and it really was fun. So, guys, Dave, Christopher, what about this show? Or this movie, I should say. This trilogy. Holy cow.
Does it say, I haven't read the article yet, does it say, is it going to be an adaptation of Blatty's novel, or is it going to be him writing his own
It's a
version?
Sequel, because they bring back the mom from the original. She's actually
the Ellen Bernstein character?
Yeah, he's actually had conversations with her about it.
Yeah, they're doing basically what we're doing now, right?
What the Halloween
Scream
movies have done,
yeah.
Lega sequel, as they call them.
Lega sequels, yes, yeah.
So,
but I mean, I don't know. Exorcist kind of seems like sacred ground, for horror fans. But Doc, like you pointed out, that series, I think we had a similar conversation when they said that was coming out, and we're like,
yeah, we did.
Why would anyone do that? And it ended up being pretty spectacular. So, I don't know. Again, this is in that they're going to do it anyway, so we might as well hang on and see what happens.
Well, I mean, like Doc said, and I've seen a few people say this online, they're a little bit worried because of just how the second Halloween film turned out. I mean, I can only imagine that the second Exorcist film, there'll be a bunch of priests running around after a possessed person says, "Evil gets exorcised tonight." So I don't know.
That actually would be kind of funny, but
I would like to see that now that I said that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he would definitely have to go a more serious route with that. It couldn't have the humor that is Halloween films have. So I would assume Danny McBride would not be a co-writer on that.
Oh, I bet he's going to be.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of concerned. I mean, I feel like the director is a talented director. He's made some really strong like indie films and stuff, and he's also very strong in the comedy realm. But to automatically have this idea for a trilogy and the second and the Halloween films doesn't necessarily pan out the way it should. I think I'm concerned. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Although I can never watch the original Exorcist. It's one of those films that
it still
scares the
the
crap
shit
out of me.
I'm right there with you.
I'm not sure you can really tap into that same element without just going like balls out sacrilegious and weird. And I'm not sure he can do that, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Well, he's writing it with Peter Sattler, and they worked on an unaired television adaptation of the horror graphic novel Freaks of the Heartland. So there's that, and
I don't know, maybe it'll be interesting.
Right, which was a Steve Niles joint. So it'd be interesting to see how it comes together. It'd be, if they bring Chris McNeil back, will they bring Reagan? It's hard to say.
Maybe that's one of the things where they'll bring, like the Halloween movies, where they bring Reagan a little bit later on or whatever. Maybe Reagan's now a medium or exorcist or something.
She works at Starbucks. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true. No. And it's going to be starring Leslie Odom Jr. We know that. So this will be. Well, you know me. I was looking forward to the Carrie movie, so I don't have any taste.
Yeah, it's just so hard to say where this is going to go because we've seen this director be so hot and so cold. I mean, he can produce something good and he can produce a giant hairy turd.
Right, so, but we, even though the three of us, didn't really care for, Halloween Kills, there are many who do. There's
some diehard people that really love it.
So
that's somebody on Twitter was like, "This is the best slasher film I've ever seen." So
I've seen a lot.
I mean, I think that person is probably on some form of drugs, but I mean, I don't think it's a horrible film.
He and watches Rob Zombie's Halloween on repeat.
I don't think
this would be a good movie.
There's people fans of that too. So,
there's fans of everything,
and it made a lot of money. It'll be interesting to see how big of a drop. How far below 50% or above 50% it drops, I guess I should say. Typically film drops 50% second week, so that'll be the gauge.
With it being
Halloween
Peacock
week,
as well.
Yeah, but it's also already Halloween season.
Yeah, it's already Halloween season, but most films usually hit it hard in the beginning. But I don't know. I think when the audience divided because it's also on Peacock.
Right.
Yeah,
but it's bad word of mouth. That's
what I'm saying. That's a really great thing, but word of mouth also can sort of maybe the controversy would make people like, well, I need to see this now.
Yeah, I would. I know if I hadn't seen it yet, I'd have to go see for myself what was being so divisive. So.
Yeah, true. Well, there you go. Of course, as more news about The Exorcist comes out, we will bring that up. I'm not sure we know.
The power of talk will compel you.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Gosh. Also, Jason Blum, of course, is out there as well, as Dave can attest. And he brought up that Bryan Fuller's Christine is the script is complete. The script is complete. I'd forgotten they were even going to do this thing. And Bryan Fuller has written it. So
yeah, I've been waiting to hear more about it. I mean, I know that there's a podcast, I think it's called Kingcast or whatever, and he went on and talked about his love of Christine, and he also sort of like saw this underlying homosexual element to it when he was younger. So yeah, I'm really interested to see as someone like him that as a huge fan of the original film, what he'll bring to it, and we're already fans of Hannibal, so we know he's a good storyteller. So it'd be interesting to see with him behind the camera as a director how that will translate.
Yeah, of course, I love haunted car films, right?
Haunted car,
the car, Duel, Christine, they're all my favorites. Of course, it was made in 1983, directed by the one and only John Carpenter. A lot of fun.
Indeed, it was.
Keith Gordon, John Stockwell, of course, started. It's really interesting because I love that original film, but then I kind of think in the back of my head, I love it, but I don't know if it's really good.
Well, it's definitely not a good adaptation of King's novel. So
is that true? Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. It was very John Carpenterized.
Well, Bad to the Bone worked really well.
Yeah, it did.
I was never a big fan of the main actor in that film.
Pete Gordon?
Yeah, I never really liked his performance. And I like elements of that film, but that's probably one of those middle ground films when it comes to Stephen King adaptations. It's not really. It's like a middle favorite. It's not as bad as some King films turn out, but I've always had it. I don't know. There's always parts of it that kind of rub me the wrong way, especially when I watched it again a while back for the 80s.
Yeah, I always loved the way the car. I thought they did a good job in how the car repaired itself.
That was cool for that specific time period.
Yeah, that always looked really good.
And there's some great iconic shots, like the one thing when he's standing there and he says "Show me," and then the car. And then of course the Christine on fire driving down the road chasing the guy. I mean, there are some, and then going through the you're having to tear up his sides as it goes into the
squishes the kid.
All the car stuff is perfect. Especially for the time period.
I always attribute it to the fact that I just never felt that Carpenter got King. He didn't know what King
making
was
a
trying to do
film.
with the story.
He wasn't making a King film. So.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? Maybe Fuller will. I mean, I'm actually kind of excited about this. I think this could be a very good thing for this particular book.
Yeah, well, I'm already sold on it just because it's Christine and it's.
Well, it'll definitely probably be more loyal to the page, So it'll be interesting to see what kind of new things he can bring to it. I think the only thing is I'm sure we'll probably see more CGI car stuff than we saw back in that 80s.
I hope not.
Where there was no CGI.
But you think will the car have eyebrows? Like
it's gonna be like Cars with Christine.
Stop.
It's like when the car will say "kapow."
The girl will smile at you.
Well, I love it that nowadays when you go to a convention, often you have the Christine there, you have the Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, the Green Goblin's there. Yeah.
You have the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Jeepers Creepers truck. I've seen the Jeepers Creepers truck a lot lately.
And I've seen the truck from Duel at some of these too.
Do you think they would change the car?
It's got to be a Plymouth Fury. It has to.
Yeah, it has to be. That's in the book, right? So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. We don't know. It's not even being filmed yet. So of course, as we find out about cast and crew, I don't even know if we know the director at the moment. It's all about Bryan Fuller writing it, really, and Jason.
Bring it on, Bryan. We're ready. Let's get it going.
All right. So let's move on to our next article, and that is The Walking Dead. Of course, we've talked about this through our entire existence as a podcast, and it is coming to a close here with the current season. But there's plenty of offshoots of Walking Dead this, Walking Dead that, but none of those. Well, that's not even true because some of them have some of the characters in it, right?
Yeah, they've crossed over in some cases.
But, yeah, they are. But they're doing something that's very comic book oriented, in my opinion. And that is they're going to make an anthology film based on the characters from the TV show called Tales of the Walking Dead. Not The Walking Dead, but The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead, oh no.
Yes, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Tales of the Walking Dead. I'm of two minds. I think it's a good idea, but I'm wondering if it's just is it time to move on?
Well, it's really hard to say because there is still a deep love for that. On their AMC Plus streaming service, they have like 2 or 3 separate Walking Dead channels. I mean, they have a channel that just plays the original Walking Dead, and then they have one that plays Fear the Walking Dead and that Walking Dead Worlds Apart, I guess. And then there's a third channel that is kind of already like a Tales from the Walking Dead. I think it's called Walking Dead Stories or something like that. Mm. And it's, so I'm wondering if that's where this idea got born from. But the viewership is still huge on all 3 of those channels. So I think the interest is still there.
That it is. It may not be as big as it was in the second and third season, but it definitely still is huge. Everybody, The Walking Dead is an IP for certain.
Well, and I think the only plus is that this series allows them to bring back characters that have already been killed off.
True.
So you might be able to see some side stories with some of your most favorite characters.
So Glenn will work again.
Glenn or
Abraham. Bring Abraham back.
Oh my God!
Is that the guy that owned the farm? Who's the guy that owned the farm?
No, he's dead in real life, so he can't come back. Herschel.
Oh,
he actually died.
So. Never mind. I forgot. They'd have to really reanimate him.
Yeah, as I say, Walking Dead's big, but they ain't that big. I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the actors are still alive. They would.
Yeah, Abraham would be great to bring back. He was good, and Glenn was a huge favorite.
Glenn was a huge favorite. Yeah.
I mean, it also. I mean, I don't know if they'll do this, but it'd be kind of interesting if it allowed them to sort of like tell different variations of stories, like a comedic anthology story or like a Christmas anthology story, or just have play on some of those elements but not make it the normal type of evil Walking Dead thing that we normally see.
It definitely opens up some interesting avenues.
Definitely does.
Maybe we can tell it from the viewpoint of a snake. Yeah, see, don't
listen to Dave.
They're gonna do it from a zombie
Walking Dead producers. Don't listen to Dave.
All right, well, let's move on to our last true article before we get into some trailers. This one dropped today, and I think it's very divisive, even among us. Well, maybe not. But it's the Munsters. The Munsters is being rebooted, remade, something destroyed by Rob Zombie, and he's been pushing the locations that they've built for its beginning. It's being filmed, and today he gave us our first look at Herman, Lili, and Grandpa. And there you go. Jeff Daniel Phillips is Herman. Sheri Moon Zombie is Lili. Big surprise. Daniel Roebuck is Grandpa Munster. Now, I have to say, of the three, I really like Daniel Roebuck as Grandpa Munster. I just think I know that he has a truly honest love for the genre, and I know he's going to bring his A game. This is really like his biggest opportunity of his career, and I'm really hoping for the best for him, if nothing else. We knew Sheri Moon Zombie was going to be Lili, so we'll talk about her look here in a second. And then we didn't know who Herman would be, but Jeff Daniel Phillips makes sense because he's been kind of the lead in the past few zombie movies. But we got to talk about the makeup for there I am. All right, so first, I got to ask you guys. Fan of the Munsters, from 66 and or the 60s, right? The movie Munsters Go Home was in 66. That's why that came to mind. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But what do you think of Rob Zombie tackling this? It's going to be R-rated, not G like the TV show. Chris, go.
I don't know. I mean, I want to give Rob Zombie a benefit of the doubt, but he's not really shown me his ability to make this property something that I will enjoy. And I think it kind of concerns me because I think, when I heard he's a big fan of it. So I thought, he's going to do his version of it, based on his love of it. But then I feel like he's putting his, pardon the expression, stank on it by making it an R-rated Munsters. I mean, I and it almost feels like, is he trying to go for like a Brady Bunch, like the Brady Bunch movies were, where it's more of it's more of a meta making fun of itself type thing. Like you have the Munsters,
the tongue-in-cheek type of thing,
and kids are saying the F word towards them, and then him.
Oh, Grandpa, suck my dick.
No,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, or Herman Munster, and Lili Munster, they have some weird sex ritual or something. I'm kind of worried where he's taking it. They have maybe they have some guy chained up in the the thing that they have a threesome with, like Richard Brake or something. I don't know. I'm worried what he's gonna do with this, because I mean it's like it's such an iconic property. It's a little bit different than the Addams Family, because this is like straight like goofy sitcom characters, you know, and they're supposed to be sort of versions of like Frankenstein and Wolfman and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I'm just really concerned, and making R-rated. I don't know. That just seems. That is definitely made him make.
It's gonna be trailer trash Munsters.
Well, yeah, and it's like,
oh, they got it. No, look at the house. That's not trailer trash. Come on.
But I mean, the original Munsters was always about these awkward-looking people who, at their heart, were good people. I mean, Herman was a good guy, right? And they were just trying to fit in a world where they didn't. You know, I mean, that's at least the message I always got from them when I was watching them. And, you know, I just don't see that. So, Rob Zombie's films have always kind of celebrated that dirtiness. You know, I mean, yeah, they're different and they don't give a shit. You know, fuck any of you who don't like it. That's kind of his, I mean, that's kind of his thing, right? Kind of his trademark.
Absolutely.
So, you know, the truth of the matter is Rob Zombie is kind of like the Donald Trump of the horror world.
Stop! No.
Those of us that hate him, and the people that love him are absolutely batshit nuts. Rob Zombie could just take a shit on screen, and they'd say that's the most miraculous thing they've ever seen, because they will defend him to the death. They just absolutely will.
So polished.
Well,
yeah, you know, look at the twirl on top. No one can do that.
Well, he revels in the stuff that he likes, and to me, it's always been like his movies feel like more extended music videos and films, and then he just like, let's throw as many curse words into here as possible, and let's have horrible things happen to women and different things. And so I don't know. I think like a lot of us when they said, oh, he's directing, I'm like, what? The Munsters? The cutesy Munster? I mean, the Munsters are actually less morbid than the Addams Family, you know? So
yep.
I don't know what he's going to, unless it's just one of those things where they're fish out of water. You have these two goofy, probably non-cursing characters, and then the environment around them is horrible. But I don't know what he can do with this. I'm extremely concerned. I think this seems like a bad choice.
The kiss of death for me is when we found out that he's actually writing it as well. You know, I've maintained all along, and if you go back and listen to the little podcasts we've done over the years, I think he has a great eye for certain things. Some of his scenes look great visually. The writing is what always kills him. And Doc, you said that you read that he is writing this.
He is writing it. Well,
yeah,
or an IMDb, but anybody could write that. So.
Well, and then you have those iconic. I think it's hard to sort of do something as good as those original characters. But like, you know, like the lady who played Lili Munster, and you're casting
Yvonne de Carlo.
Yep. You know, and then she's almost got like the e-girl haircut. It's not even Lili Munster. It's just white, black, you know.
Yeah, it's like a Cruella de Vil thing.
And then Herman Munster just looks like a carp. He doesn't look like Frankenstein. He's like Frankencarp. It doesn't look right. How is that? I mean, I will say
he doesn't have the stature of Fred Gwynne. Fred Gwynne was a really tall dude.
Yeah. So I mean, I will say
big, right? So
Dan Roebuck looks great. I love his little curly things with his hair.
Yes.
I mean, I like that. That feels like Grandpa Munster, but I don't know. This is really concerning me. This is like those, you know, like was it in the 90s where they were like take these TV shows and they turn them into movies, or even 2000s. And it'd always be those fish out of water.
That, you kidding?
Well, they're still doing it, but just taking these goofy characters and putting them in real world situations. And I feel like this is what this is doing, but I don't know. But again, though, probably people go see it. Oh, I love this. This is like 10 times better than the Munsters.
Already online today with the release of that picture, there's people on there like vehemently defending. You know, everyone's bitching about Sheri.
I mean,
maybe I'm in favor.
Oh no, they definitely are. They're you know, and you know, in one post I read, I actually kind of have to agree with, where they're saying, you know, people are putting so much hate towards Sheri Moon Zombie because of the fact that she's in this movie. You know, I mean, I don't know that it's really her fault. If you were in a relationship with somebody who was very famous and they came to you every time they had a project and said you want to be in it, you go, hell yeah, I want to be in it. Yeah, you got that right. Well, and you know, it's just
time to get a divorce.
Oh, stop! No. All right, so I'm in favor of this. I think that this. Okay, so I'm trying to be optimistic here. I am a little concerned. I will, because I was like anybody else could probably do it, but it does give him an opportunity to kind of break his own mold if he chooses. He can do something slightly different and still, without losing himself, losing what makes Rob Zombie. He can still have, his cake and eat too, sort of, but he could, break the mold. And having watched his career since, White Zombie and on, he caught my attention with his inclusion of classic monster stuff in the songs and in the artwork and, and even in the name itself, right? White Zombie. So I have no doubt he truly loves the Munsters, right? And he truly loves the source material. And I just don't think he's going to crap on it, willy-nilly like we fear he could, right? I really think he's going to bring something interesting to this. And I'm
Doc, we so hope you're right.
I am waiting.
You're a bright ray of sunshine in an otherwise dark world.
I would have
rainbows, all rainbows, and
well, I would have thought more positively if he'd actually tried to make it like a PG film, but with making a R-rated film, to me that I would love to see him have to restrain himself to tell the story, and if he has a really love for that series, F-bombs were never a part of the Munsters. So I don't know. I feel like I would have been more interested to see him, have his storytelling ability and tell it within the world of the Munsters, as opposed to just taking the Munsters and throwing it into his, F-word world.
I wonder if it gives him the opportunity to bring music into it, Dave.
I could.
Because this is a property he could be a little bit more musically oriented.
Yeah.
Like he could do that.
There is lots of opportunity here for him to do something seriously special. And the burning question is, will he?
Yeah, but there's also a huge opportunity to do something incredibly disastrous as well, right? So yeah, that's your division. I will definitely be talking about this as we learn more. It's filming now, so
like Romania or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So as the new year comes, we're definitely going to be having more images and eventually a trailer, and then we can really dive into what we're seeing and what the tone and stuff is. Is he going to go dark and gritty like his earlier stuff, or is he going to try something new? So who knows? All right, so let's move on to trailers. We have 3 trailers that we want to talk about, and our time is running out, so we're going to talk about it really quickly. But each one deserves a mention just to give our thoughts on the trailer. The first trailer we're going to discuss is Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which is coming out November 26, 2021. Now, this is one that we had heard zilch about until last week, and other than we knew it was coming, and maybe a picture here and there, but we hadn't seen barely any mention of it. And then suddenly the trailer dropped, and this is a new take on the franchise. It is no longer in the hands
Alice.
And it's in the hands of a new director, a new vision, a new place going forward. Do we see anything special in this trailer? What was your reaction to the trailer, Dave? I'm going to start off with you.
I thought it was surprisingly okay. I'm kind of excited that they're kind of going back to its original horror source material. I mean, they do that one scene that's from the very first game, the classic one with the zombie turning around in a stairway or whatever it is, but it was like the iconic scene from the first game when it first came out way back when. It looks okay. I'm just not sure that there's anything that needs to be left to be said about the Resident Evil franchise. Well, we'll have to see what they do with it. But I didn't think the trailer looked that bad. There was a couple aha moments where you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. No, yeah, I remember that. Yep. And it looked okay. This isn't one that I'm incredibly excited about, but at the same time, when it comes out, I will see it.
Yeah, I mean, the cast members, the characters we're going to be following are Claire Redfield, Jill and Chris Redfield, not Renfield, Jill Valentine, and Leon Kennedy. Those are names that, if you play the games, you recognize those names quite a bit. I mean, I'd like the cast. You know, we got, you know, Robbie Amell is playing Chris. Kayas Godelario, right, is playing Claire. Hannah John Kamen is playing Jill. Yvonne Horia is playing Leon. I don't know. I kind of dug it. It felt like the game more than the movies ever did.
I agree with that.
Well, I think that's the if you want to say there's a strong point, it seems to definitely tie back to the original games and some of the characters and monsters and stuff for those games. But also it has like bad 90s CGI as well.
Did it though?
The graphics look really bad. I was very unimpressed by this. This looks like something like late night sci-fi channel straight to video movie. This looks this looks like crap to me. This
well, I know that
bad. The acting is bad.
Yeah.
The acting is bad. Everything just looks bad in this. And as someone that like really wish that they'd get back to their roots, but you know, and do some of the original, like, because the original games had some really cool camera work, a lot of locked off camera shots and stuff in different weird places. This one just feels like a cheesy sci-fi movie with really bad special effects. But that's just me.
Well, the director, whose name I'm going to mispronounce, Joanne Roberts, is a director I like. You know, he directed the 47 Meters Down.
I was going to say, wasn't that the 47 Meters Down guy?
Yep, and he directed Strangers Pray at Night, The Other Side of the Door. Well, I should have stopped while I was at. I like it. I mean, I really like 47 Meters Down was pretty tense, and The Strangers Pray at Night was much better, much better than it had any right to be. So I'm looking forward to him tackling this franchise. We'll know this November, and definitely be reviewing it here on H&R. Yes. All right. The next trailer is the first one we're going to talk about, coming from 2022, January 24th to be exact, is Scream. That's it. Not Scream 5, but Scream. And brings back Dewey, Ghostface, and everybody in between. And a new cast. The trailer dropped. What do we think? Go. Christopher, you're first.
I don't know. This is one of the few sequels that I'm actually looking forward to seeing, because first of all, the guys behind Ready or Not are directing this, and
yes.
This is another one of those sort of Lego sequel type things, you know, where we're sort of bringing these characters back, and evidently even this trailer that people like, oh, they show all the kills in the trailer. Supposedly, it's not really showing you everything. There's a hidden element to it. So, and I'm almost like, there's a lot of people that are actually trying to figure out stuff, and actually I have an idea of possibly where they might be going with it. But yeah, I love seeing the original actors back. And you have like the whole, and then they even play off that original scene with him on the phone and stuff, where now he can sort of unlock the house. I mean, there's a lot of really unique things where they integrate new technology that we have nowadays to make it kind of scary, because we always have that thing where we can lock it with our phone, but what if somebody can unlock it?
Oh,
crap. That's scary, you know? So just that, to me, that feels like a Wes Craven thing, to where, you know, and Kevin Williamson thing, where we sort of create it for a whole new generation. And then they even have like an explanation of the rules of certain things, you know, that's got to be somebody. So it's more of a rules of the franchise, you know, like it's always going to be somebody connected to you. So it almost makes me wonder if we might have a character from the original film that might pop up or something.
I hope so. One or two,
because we never really got confirmation on certain people dying. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential in this, and I'm kind of excited. I mean, it's kind of sad because Wes Craven isn't here to sort of do this, but I think, to me, it looks great, and I love Ready or Not. So I think those guys can tell a good story, and they'll probably have a little bit of humor to it, and I'm sure there'll probably be like a little twisty twist to it as well, you know. I'm excited.
Right? Yeah. So Neve Campbell's returning as Sydney, Courtney Cox returning as Gail, David Arquette's returning as Dewey, like we said. we hope that others return. Jack Quaid is probably the one face in here that I recognize. And I'll just pin the tail on Donkey there. I think he's the killer. I'm just going to put that out right now.
Well, do you want me to tell you my thoughts?
Yeah, sure.
I think that they're renting out the house as an Airbnb because they recently did that recently, and they have these people and they tell them these rules. It's almost like an escape room or something, and then the actual killer shows up. But that's just my idea.
I like that. That would make sense. That would make sense. Dave, what about you, sir? You're a fan of sorry, Christopher, didn't mean to cut you off. You're a fan of the Scream series, I would imagine.
Yeah, I've actually been watching them recently because when they're Fear Fest or whatever, they've been on AMC like every other day. So they've actually aged pretty well. But it'd be interesting to see where this definitely feels like it's going to be kind of a handing of the torch kind of thing. I think this is the last time we're going to see Sidney and Gail and Dewey. I think it's going to hand it off to this. I don't know if they'll kill him off or if they'll just right off into the sunset. But David Arquette's looking a little rough around the edges. He kind of looked like an ex-fighter who went to Mexico to drink his life away. I mean, he's looking pretty rough.
That's real life, isn't it?
Yeah. But it looks good. I'm with Chris. I think the directors. I loved Ready or Not as well. So I'm kind of excited I'd be excited to see whatever project these guys are working on, and the fact that it's a Scream flick just is kind of icing on the cake.
Will there be more than one Ghostface? That's what we need to know, right?
That's what we need to know.
Yeah.
Speculation is it'll be a woman this time, a woman Ghostface.
Hasn't it been that?
Didn't they have the last
one time? Yeah, three maybe. One of them was.
One of them be like 20 people because
everyone's Ghostface
more and more, or it's a robot or something. It's you can just go all crazy.
It's Morris the cat.
It was the dog all along.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next trailer. We're going to move to February 2022. Scott Derrickson, Robert Cargill are bringing The Grabber to the screen in a film called The Black Phone. Looking forward to this. What I like is Ethan Hawke is playing a villain. He doesn't play the bad guy often, if at all. And here he is playing a straight-up villain called The Grabber, and it's because of his relationship with Scott Derrickson and Robert Cargill. So what do we think of this? Dave starts off.
I think this looks great. Of everything we've talked about tonight, this looks like it could be the one. I like everything about this. It just looks creepy as shit. It looks bonkers. I don't know what else to say about it. Of course, Tom Savini created the mask, so
yeah, there you go.
You got that going on. But it looks like Ethan Hawke is just going to be off the wall creepy in this.
Well, I love it. In the trailers, like this face, right? It's like just the way he acts.
And the premise that the kid's locked in the room and the phone rings and it's past victims, and it looks. I actually watched the trailer again right before we came on. I'm like, damn, now this looks good.
I can't wait. And of course, it has already screened, hasn't it? And
it's screened. Yeah, it's screened at Fantastic Fest, and I think another festival recently, and it's got a lot of people have talked really kindly about it.
A lot of early buzz. Yeah. Christopher, what are your thoughts?
I love this. Looks really cool. I mean, it's such an interesting concept. And then just to have Ethan Hawke sort of playing more of a villain type character, and just this concept of like, what do you do if this guy kidnaps you and keeps you in his house, but then you have the previous victims are calling you on the phone, and they all these sort of ghosts help you to get your way out. I mean, it's such a really freaky concept. Of course, Joe Hill, based on the Joe Hill story. But yeah, everything looks great. I mean, you feel for these characters. You feel there's like the one little girl character who's also trying to find out what happened to her friend. So there's like, and I just feel like it's going to be all these things. It's going to be very tense. It's almost like the ending of Silence of the Lambs, where you have the person, in the basement or whatever, So I don't know. There's just a lot of, and then just that creepy mask and stuff, which is almost like, I think there's one part where he's like wearing glasses or whatever. It's like almost like the Zodiac killer. He's got that weird, almost like a, what's it, Guy Fawkes or whatever, the V for Vendetta. It almost feels like a combination of that. And I don't know. Yeah, it's creepy, cool. Co-written by Robert Cargill, who they worked together on Doctor Strange. So this is definitely on my top list of things I want to see.
Yeah, they also work together on Sinister, which is one of the scariest.
The Sinister movies, yeah.
Decades, yeah. So definitely want to make sure that we mention that. All right, there you go. That is our horror news of the week. It's
a lot of news.
Yeah, we had a lot of news because we missed last week, so some of it snuck into here. So we'll get back into the groove here. We hope you enjoyed it. Black Phone, by the way, is coming out February 4th, and we're definitely going to be reviewing that one when it arrives.
Early Valentine's Day gift.
Yes. Yes. All right. Christopher, Dave, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Doc.
Always great to talk about what's coming up.
All right. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. All right, let's say good night.
Good night.